Welcome to the birthday episode. In this episode, we celebrate the Unminding Project's first birthday. We are one. This is an open discussion where we explore how the three principles can make a profound difference in our lives. We take questions from our listeners and share how much has changed over the last year. This episode is a lot of fun, so please take the weight off of your mind and enjoy the show.
Birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Molls. Oh, I love you all so much. I can't believe it's been a year.
I know, it's unbelievable. It's kind of crazy because we just jumped on one Thursday to chat about what had helped us so much. And here we are a year later with a weekly podcast and lots of listeners. And yeah, it's kind of mind blowing and so lovely. It's organic and so wonderful that you're all here and some of our regulars are here. And yeah, we couldn't do it without you. We love you so much. And I'm just going to add Muggsy, who's always comes on and always adds so much. And I'm going to add Sasol because Sasol was our first spare co-host. So Gems, over to you, darling.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all, really. And we don't have a plan tonight, so we can do Ask Me Anything. So you guys can come up and speak about whatever you want, but just really want to say thank you. And everyone that's in this space has been with us from the beginning, so thank you all. And we've really made such a difference to people's lives. We couldn't have done it without you. And it feels like we're just at the beginning, really. And I feel like we've already done so much. I'm just so happy and so excited, really. So it's a free open space today. Anyone that wants to come up and say anything can share what you've learned or share anything at all, really. But yeah, very excited. And I had a funny old week. The full moon really messed around with me. So I think we can talk about some things later as well. But yeah, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we couldn't do it. We wouldn't be here without listeners. So you're such a huge part of what we do. And yeah, I'm really excited. I didn't know I'd be this excited.
Me neither. Well, we probably would still do it without listeners, though.
Yeah, true. But
we really would.
Chatting.
Yeah.
We did for a long time anyway.
Totally, yeah. But people do listen now and they listen regularly and they share it with their friends. And that is the most important thing. It's grown organically. So please share this space if you want any of your other friends and people to come and listen. I like it when we don't have a plan because we tend to have the best spaces. And that's kind of what life's like, isn't it? When we have these perceptions and expectations, it can go very, very wrong. But just being in the moment and enjoying it, that is what life is about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really would love you guys to come up and speak. And I just see Muggsy would like to say something.
Hi, you sassy ladies.
Hey there, Muggsy.
I would like to congratulate both of you and this beautiful project, the amount of work and time and all the great energy that you have given to people. Don't let things deter you. There are a lot of support for what you guys both do. Some of the voices that came out that were ugly, fuck them.
We don't know what you're talking about. What voices? We hear no voices.
But I guess maybe that was all in my head.
Yeah, there you go. It's all in your head. We don't pay any attention to anything like that. We're all the love and the light. Oh, thank you, though. Thank you for, always being a spare co-host if we need one, and for all your input and always being here. Since you found us, you're a regular and a great supporter. So thank you. And I can see so many of you, Nagato, Holly, Niyoshi, S-Chan, obviously Sasol from the beginning, Chris. I can't go through you all, but thank you so much, really, from the bottom of our hearts. It's it's the ripple effect. You know, we're here and we're the stone that goes into the water. We share what we've seen, but the ripple effect is the fact that it touches you, and then the ripple effect of that is who it touches in your lives. So it just ripples out. This is such a beautiful thing that can create so much change in the world just from this one little conversation. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, thank you, Mugsy. And when you say when we need the spare co-host, that's me, when something goes wrong with me. So you said that so politely. Thank you. That you have, Mugsy, you've been amazing. And the conversations we've had with you on the spaces and off the spaces, it's been really great to get to know you, and you helping with the project. It's absolutely priceless. And even just sharing, people are making memes for Unminding, and every tiny thing that someone not even does, but just feels or resonates with them, this is it. You know, I can see Llama as well. Hi, Llama. Artorius. It's so wonderful to have you all here, because it's every Thursday. It's like, that's something that I really struggled with before, was routine and regularity. I was sort of all over the place, and this feels like coming home every Thursday. It's so wonderful. And I get to edit the podcast as well, so I get to like double down listen, and it's, yeah, really, really, I think we're just going to keep saying thank you, aren't we?
Yeah, we need to start. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get on with some stuff.
As we said, we haven't got a plan. So please, if you want to come up and ask a question, or if you've ever had an insight through this understanding, through listening to Unminding, it'd be really great to hear from people about what's changed for them as well, what looks different. So we'd love, really, really, we want this to be about, it's always about everybody, but we really want everybody up here tonight, and we really want to have a conversation with you guys, because as we said, no plan, open house. But I think, Gem.
So I do have to drop off, and I'll be listening. Congratulations again. You guys are beautiful people, helping great people out there. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you,
I will
darling.
always support both of you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. We really do.
Thanks, Maxine. Have a lovely afternoon.
Yeah.
You were going to drop me in it and say about my funny week.
So we're going to start, because I think what's really important, and we always do say this, is that because of this understanding, it's so incredibly helpful to have in life, but it doesn't stop you having experiences in the world that can be challenging. So we're always going to come up against challenges. That's the nature of being human. But what it does seem to have this ability to bounce us back really quickly out of those challenges. So, and Jem had such a great example of it this week that we wanted to kind of have a chat about that. And then we're going to go into looking a little bit deeper about what the principles are. So, Jem, I'd love you to just chat about, how far down the rabbit hole of thought you fell this week.
Really?
Maybe not quite as far as you fell, like lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, wow, okay. I mean, it's a comedy show, but it was the full moon's fault that started there.
No, it wasn't.
It kind of was, because everyone else was feeling like a bit funny as well. So yeah, I let everything get on top of me, and there were some people that I normally speak to that were also pretty all over the place, and I always sometimes feel like I can't say no to helping people when they're in pain or in a certain situation. So I was trying to deal with my own stuff, but not dealing with it because I was sort of speaking to other people. I was just totally overwhelmed. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. I noticed, because I was starting to lose everything. When I'm not in a good place, I'll find my mobile phone in the fridge, or I just won't be conscious, and everything will just get messy. And what I need to really do is stop and do nothing, rather than try and fix all of the things that are going on, which are really, really not a big deal. So instead of doing that, I went to the pub and decided to get absolutely trolleyed. And I don't drink anymore. I have like the occasional drink here and there, but I realised, I don't know, it's probably 4 or 5 months ago, Molls, that alcohol was not working for me. When I was hungover, I was really anxious, and I didn't realise how much of an effect it had on my life. So I completely stopped drinking and was like, wow, this is huge. My brain was always fuzzy, and yeah, it wasn't great. And for some reason, I thought the best thing for me to do when I was feeling shit a couple of days ago was to go and drink 85 bottles of red wine with some of my friends. And I had the best night. I got home and just burst into tears. I could not stop crying. It was like the whole world was ending. And the thoughts that were going through my head, they're funny now. But I was thinking things like, oh, when's this war going to really kick off so the whole world can be nuked because I can't fucking deal with this anymore. But I was really thinking like, I felt like my world was ending and it would be much easier if the actual world ended. And now I'm saying it out loud and I was thinking about it last night. I just couldn't stop laughing. And it was like, okay, maybe this is the last time that you get drunk, because any time that I get drunk, it always accentuates how I feel. And I feel enough anyway. I don't need these extra things in my life. And I've said this story a few times, but I'm saying it again now because I think that is the final time, because it's just, I felt awful. And some of the things that I was saying to you, Molls, was like, what the fuck what planet am I on? I'm sorry, I keep swearing. I ended up watching a movie last night called The Peaceful Warrior. And it was the movie that I had to watch. And I'd recommend anyone to watch it. I've written down some quotes that I'll read to you in a bit. I watched it and I was like, wow, this was me. And I was fighting against everything. I was trying to fix the past. I was worried about the future. I've got a lot going on in the next week, but it was all in my mind and everything is in place now. Everything is fine. But yeah, I had 2 days from hell. I knew I'd get out of it, but it's probably the longest that I felt bad for a good couple of years. But it's in its box now. It's kind of like, well, I don't feel like that. But in the moment, I felt like I was going to feel like that forever. I was really in my head. Now it's hilarious. Like, life is literally a cosmic joke. And it's funny that your brain will sometimes tell you to do the things that are going to be bad for you. It's almost like self-sabotage. But I didn't want to talk to anybody. Everyone was pissing me off and I couldn't see a way out of anything. And now it's like it didn't even happen. It's not even a blip. It's just a funny moment. But yeah, it's just funny. And I don't know what more to say about it than it is funny, because it's, yeah. Does that make sense, Molls? Because you heard me. I spoke to you on the phone and couldn't even get my words out. I was crying so much, but it was all bullshit.
Well, it felt real at the time. So we kind of acknowledge the real feelings that aren't actually real, because when we're feeling them, they feel completely true. It's like, as you said, it looked like there was nothing else available for you other than crying. And I think what's really interesting is that you almost wanted to avoid me, because it's like, I'm going to do the thing where I tell you it's thought and get you out of it. And the mind, for some reason, when it's in that place, kind of gets stuck there. That's what happens, and that's what happened to you. And was literally just having a conversation and putting you straight, and then you having a sleep, and it was like night and day. It's like, oh no, I'm okay now. The beauty of that is when we start having those experiences, and the contrast is huge from going into the dark place to coming out of it. It happens so quickly when you have this understanding and you're grounded in it, that you can see it's like, oh my God, that looks so real. That was only a few hours ago and now I'm okay. And I think the beauty of that is that you now can see that. It's like, oh, okay. So for me, if I go into a bit of a dark mood or get into my head, yeah, it looks totally real to me. But there is this background noise almost of, oh, I'm going to actually snap out of that at some point, because I know it's thought and I know it's not going to last, because nothing stays. Everything's a visitor. So this feeling is just a visitor. Your feelings visited you. And obviously for you, you know that alcohol doesn't agree with you. And it was like reminding you. But the beauty for me is you came out of it. You bounced straight back out, and with no hanging on to it, with no hanging on to the story, with no problem with the fact that you did it. Just, oh, well, I did that, move on. That's the beauty of this. That's what I love.
Good job, Gem.
Oh, Nathan, is that you, Nathan?
Nathan. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Gem and Molls. So nice to hear your voices first time on here, and happy birthday. My goodness, 1 year. So I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Nathan Wozniak, founder and CEO of Ubiquity. We've donated to Unminding in the past, and we're big supporters, friends. And I'll just say this, going back to some of the stories you're telling. Last couple of days I've had some stress, and again, I'm speaking firsthand here, not on behalf of the company or affiliates or anyone else. I have to say that disclaimer. Just my stress in my personal life, stress with the company and things, caused me to go to a dark place as well. And there was that little inkling in the back of my mind, like that little whispering saying, it's going to be okay. Nathan, you've had a few to drink as well, go to bed, wake up in the morning, you'll be fine. And for me, it's been cutting out certain negative things, like cutting out certain hard liquors, going for my daily walks, reading my stoicism books, my God and quotes, and just eating well and sleeping at a proper time. It's really helped my mood. So I just wanted to share that and congratulate you all on happy first birthday.
Thank you, Nathan. And you were back in the day when we first started. I think you were probably the first supporter. You donated the first little bit towards us. So thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
You've been there from the beginning. And it's so interesting what you say about it can look really real when the world's coming at you, but it's never the world. It's actually us. It's where we are in a low state of mind, and it builds up, and that thinking builds up. And suddenly it looks like it's the world and we're in overwhelm, but it's actually an overwhelm of thought. And that's what I love about this understanding and this teaching, is that we're always pointing back to that, because it always frees us up. It frees us from the ties of the world creating our feelings, because it isn't the world creating our feelings. And there's a freedom in that. And that freedom is always what we're pointing to. Because the ultimate freedom isn't freedom in the world, it's freedom in your head. You can be free in the world and in a prison of your mind. We're breaking people out of the prisons of their minds. Now, I used to live in prison, now I visit. So you can see with Gem, she used to live in the prison of her mind. Well, she visited. You too, Nathan. It's like that's what we do. We're always going to visit. But actually what we have is something within us that is always okay, that knowing, that reminder that, okay, this isn't a permanent state.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's finding like we have conflict with people or conflict with family. And in my case, it was overdoing it with work. And I mean, I'm sure my shareholders love how hard I work, but they're also like, Nathan, take some time for yourself. So today it's a nice, beautiful, rainy day in Toronto, Canada. Although we're a US company, we're global. I told my team I'm taking a mental health day. See you later. And that's why I'm on here just relaxing and chatting. And it's something I needed because I put in 14 hours yesterday and I just hit a brick wall and just had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. So anyway, I'm better now. I'm laughing about it because it's like so ridiculous because it's something I can prevent. So
see, the prevention thing, I'm not so sure. We can kind of manage a little bit better, but
sure.
I actually think that we come up against our thinking no matter what. Obviously we can put extra pressure on ourselves in that area, but actually, I know people with very relaxed, lovely lives that I work with, and occasionally they come up against their own thinking and get incredibly stressed. And it's all an illusion that the stress is actually coming from them and their layers of thinking rather than the world. So it's about undoing. Again, we need to undo all those ties that we connect to the world and our mental health and really see that it comes from us. Again, it's that sovereignty of mind. In the world of Bitcoin or money or whatever it is, that they're physical things that actually don't contain it. They're great. Of course, we want a free world, but actually, if we come home to the freedom of mind, then we operate completely differently in the world and we show up differently and we kind of go in the direction of sovereignty in the world. It starts with us. It starts with us understanding who we are. And I think, to see that, to stay in the present moment, to see what's really going on, to understand that, you said about stoicism. I love stoicism. It's that points always to thinking not being true. It always points to thoughts coming and going. So again, back to the visitors of thought, the visitors of feeling. Now, we don't have to believe what any of that is saying. We can see, okay, I'm in a low mood. I'm actually better off not believing anything my mind is saying right now. Coming back into the moment and just kind of getting on with life, And I'm a big fan of taking a day off, by the way. So I'm glad you did that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Molls. I'll say one more thing just as a quick note. So if anyone's interested, The Daily Stoic is a really good book. There's lots of good Facebook groups for Stoicism. You may want to ignore some of the commentary on there, but there's very good quotes. And what I do, I'll just say one more thing. Whenever I'm feeling stressed, the fight and flight response, sympathetic nervous system, do the breathing exercises. And I've learned one thing with conflict is it takes 18 minutes for that stress hormone to go through your body and out of your body. If I'm in an argument with somebody or I'm about to respond to an email, I take my 18 to 20 minute break and I come back thinking rationally and responding rationally. So it helps me a lot.
That's it. We all find our own way of dealing with the world. We have to do that. We are having a human experience. I'd say it's probably even quicker. I think because of this understanding goes so deep, I think that for me, it's like I can fall out of being reactive very, very quickly. I don't even think it's 18 minutes now, but it is that stepping back and just going into observer. The more we observe, the calmer we are, the more present we are, the more we're seeing our reactions rather than being in them. And that's the beauty again. It's like, imagine if everybody just stopped for a moment and they just didn't react in such a fly off the handle way. You know, the world would be so much of a better place because people will just be sitting and knowing that everything is them. You know, I don't have to respond and react in the way to that I may have done previously because I now understand more of the system. I understand that I'm having thoughts and feelings. You know, that's who I am. The system's always at work. It's always working through me. So I know that a new feeling's going to come along and I'm then going to respond in a different way. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to show up differently. And
that's beautiful. Yeah. I was going to say real quick, Molls, one more thing I'll mention. I don't want to take over, monopolize the chat or anything like that. I want others to have a chance to speak as well. But I'll say that, you know, your quote and what you've said just earlier is a real reminder of an incident that I had 12 years ago. I was having some conflicts with my girlfriend, and her boss happens to be one of the world-renowned kidney pathologists in the world, University of Alberta, Dr. Kim Soles. And he gave me some advice that changed my life, and I think about almost every week. He goes, imagine a time when you're, say, at a bar or a family outing or something, and everybody is out of control, emotional, arguing, and you're just sitting there observing and having that power, just not responding, not allowing that drama, not allowing the chaos to ensue and let yourself become overwhelmed with emotion and start throwing fists or something. He goes, now, every time you're in those kind of conflicts, whether small or big, remember this conversation, and it's really helped me a lot. I mean, it sounds corny, but for me, it's helped. So it's just being able to be an observer. Yeah.
However you see it, that was perfect for you to have that conversation and see it in that way. And that's it. Our true nature is the observer, the illusion. And when we come out of that is the one that gets caught up and is reactive. That's when we go into our ego. You know, coming home to who we really are. You know, waking up from the illusion of the mind and our feelings is living in a new world. And that can happen momentarily. You know, there was a moment where Gem felt terrible and then felt great. It wasn't anything she did. It was what was coming through her. It was her going from being in her ego and her reactive state and then just coming home more to who she really is. Finding out and just remembering that, okay, I'm not these thoughts. I'm not these feelings. I'm something deeper than that. And it's not that you sit and you actually think that. It's just becomes obvious. Jen, would you say that was true? It was just suddenly it was obvious what had happened.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just laughing. At points, I even thought that the cat didn't like me. Oh, it was just ridiculous.
No, it doesn't. Told me.
Oh, shut up. Oh, funny. And I can hear with what you're saying as well, Nathan. It's like being able to laugh at yourself is the best thing. And I just wanted to say as well, thank you for supporting us from the very beginning. You were our first donation, actually. So
oh my
you.
God. Well,
You
my pleasure, and expect more donations soon. It's just the crypto market's been in a slump, which is temporary. But you know, I always do my best to donate to organizations that I believe in, right? I mean, we donated to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children all the time, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and of course, Unminding. It's cool. It's really cool that we were the first. So thank you very much. Oh, and yeah, laughing at yourself is very important. Self-deprecating humor is a really important thing for you know, self-growth and making other people comfortable around you, that kind of thing. So I find.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. And anyone else that wants to come up, just request, you're more than welcome. I'm going to read some of the quotes I wrote down from the film last night, Peaceful Warrior, and I would recommend anybody to watch it. I didn't know there was a book until you said earlier, Molls, but I'm probably going to read the book as well. But some of the things were just amazing, and it's really what I needed to hear. Things like, the time is now, the place is here, stay in the present. You can do nothing to change the past, and the future will never come exactly as you plan or hope for. If you don't get what you want, you suffer. And if you get what you don't want, you suffer. Even when you get exactly what you want, you still suffer because you can't hold on to it forever. The mind is like a phantom that lives only in the past or the future. Its only power over you is to draw your attention out of the present. Pain is a relatively objective physical phenomenon. Suffering is our psychological resistance to what happens. Events may create physical pain, but they do not in themselves create suffering. And I call myself a peaceful warrior because the battles we fight are on the inside. And there was the main guy, the teacher, he only said what he needed to say. And I took so much from that because I talk so much rubbish sometimes. You know, it's great to express yourself, but to be present and a man of few words is sometimes a lot more interesting than someone that doesn't be quiet, because a lot that we think and we speak is garbage. And I learned so much from that film. I think I'm going to watch it again tonight. It's so, so brilliant. All of you go and watch it. But you've read the book, haven't you, Molls?
Yeah, years ago. It's brilliant. It's The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, I believe, by Dan Millman. I read it a few times, in my early kind of seeking pathways. It's a great book, so definitely check it out. I'll probably have to reread it now you've reminded me of it. And I always remember a quote from it. I think it was, "A ship is safer in harbours, but that's not what ships are made for." That was really beautiful to me at the time because I was traveling on my own and just kind of experiencing the world. And I think we can get really caught up and stuck in our little lives. And I think sometimes it's good to really open up and just see that there is so much more. The things that look like problems to us, when we widen our perspective, when we really open up, we see, oh, well, actually, that really isn't that big of a problem. We're making so much up in our heads all the time. The beauty of this understanding is we're not looking at what the mind is saying and overanalyzing it and going into it and trying to work out the past. And it's great. Obviously, I talk with my clients about their problems and their past, but it's always with the intention of reframing it to see it doesn't exist now. And so I truly believe, on our first anniversary and our birthday, I really want to say we really do believe that this is the future of psychology, the future of well-being and mental health. And it's so simple. And I think what has become so complicated will now go to such simplicity. And this is what we're talking about. William James was the father of psychology, modern psychology. And he even said, someday someone will find principles for psychology. And when they do, it will change the field to a philosophy and a science. And in turn, it will help millions of people. And I think these three principles that we're teaching here are the things that he was pointing to. He hadn't found them. But Sydney Banks, the guy that got enlightened and that saw them and then shared them with the world, I think this is what he found, this deeper understanding. So we're not going into content of mind. We're looking at the context. We're looking at the fact that we have thought and what is that thought rather than what the thinking is saying. Because if you think about thought, it's always going, it's always happening, and it's always filling a void. And as Gem said, so much of it is nonsense. So for me, when I look back, when I did used to have therapy, and for some people it works, that's absolutely fine. But we have to progress. We have to find different ways of doing things. And when I look back, it was like my mind always found a problem because it was sitting there and it could share its problems. And what you find with this work is we're not looking for the problems. We're looking at what's right. We're looking at the beauty of the human experience. We don't bypass the fact that we have human experiences that can be challenging and we deal with those. But there's something deeper about being human. Okay? That knowing, that those moments where you've had that knowing that there's something more or there's something else. There's something bigger than who you are. That's where the healing comes from. That's where the mind begins to settle, not by allowing the mind to kind of run riot with its memories and make up so many issues that don't even exist. I often say, as you know, if I could wave a magic wand and you could all drop out of your thinking, what problems would you have right now? Thought dissolves. We come back into the now. So again, this is why I'm so passionate about unminding and the three principles. Another name for it is subtractive psychology. My friend Jamie Smart, he's an international bestseller. His book Clarity talks about the principles, but he calls it subtractive psychology, and he is actually going to come on the show at some point. But he's a brilliant man. He uses this in business, and he creates programs, and he does amazing work all over the world with it. And it is subtractive psychology because we're taking away what's not true. We're not adding, not working anything out. We're saying, is that true? Any challenging thought that you may have, if you hold it up to the light and you ask, is this true? I'm pretty sure you're going to come back with a no. Is how I'm seeing this in this moment truth? And especially when it's troubling thoughts, you'll come back and you'll see that it's in challenging the mind, it's in challenging your beliefs, it's in challenging your thinking that life begins to look different. And it looks different because you're undoing all of the constraints of your own thinking and beliefs and seeing through them. And suddenly this freedom is seen. This freedom is revealed. This revelation of freedom is who you really are before all that thinking came in, before you believed all the things that you believe about yourself and your world. They can't be true because you weren't born with them. They've happened to you. You've absorbed them and created them as your own via your world that you live in and your conditioning. There's no truth there. Ultimately, there aren't problems, there's situations. But that has to be cleared up. That's cleared up by understanding this, not by analysis. So when we suffer in our identity because the story that we've made up in our heads often has the sensation to go with it, the feeling. So we get caught up in, like Gem did earlier in the week, she got caught up in this story of suffering in her mind, and her body would have reflected that. And it's that story plus that sensation equals the identity in that moment. That's who we think we are. That's why it looks so real, because the identity is ultimately made up of the thinking and the feeling. Because the identity is constantly changing. Think about who you are and how you show up for different people. You know, we're always seeing it differently. So can you see how actually to get some freedom within that system, because we see that it's not true. We can let go of the demands and the expectations and all the sources of our unhappiness and begin to live in a new world. And the new world is just us before our thinking. It's back to the sovereignty of the mind, who we really are. We're living in a world that is completely caught up in these thought systems, in these beliefs, in these challenges, in how the world looks. Think about how challenging the world can appear. We've had a pandemic of sorts. We've had lockdowns. You know, we've got war. There's so much that's in our faces. So much in our faces. And so much that's been put in our faces, in my opinion, to scare us. But what if we didn't take that in because we suddenly saw through the illusion of thought and we saw that we have well-being right here, right now? We don't have to buy into all that. We can be present and happy and in the moment without any of that affecting us. That's again why it's so important. This message and what we're doing, we feel is so important. And I'm actually going to read to you one of the early statements that we made about the Unminding Project. And it's, dear friends, do you feel deep down that there is something wrong with the way the world operates? Have you always had a feeling that you have limitless capabilities, but society has told you to believe otherwise? We feel these things too. We at the Unminding Project believe we have found something that can help people of the world uncover their well-being, peace of mind, and infinite potential. We believe this new understanding of the mind will help to lead to the realization of a new way of living and a better world, one where the old systems have fallen away and we all wake up to a new way of being. We are at a time on the planet where we are faced with powers that want to control and suppress us more and more each day, where our freedoms are constantly being stripped away. Many have been affected by the events of the last 2 years, and we are now in an epidemic of mental illness. Resources for those that are suffering are at a bare minimum. Many feel hopeless and lost. The Unminding Project provides a space for those that need it, a space to share how they feel, a community that will guide and help them and find their way back to the well-being that they've lost. The limitlessness of our being is a universal truth that many have forgotten. Our mission is to empower the world so people awaken to who they really are and not who they have been told to be. We ask you to support us and to watch the ripple effect of truth as it finds its way into the hearts and minds of those that have forgotten who they are, to see humanity regain its birthright, freedom. It's time for the world to wake up. It's time for people to take back their power. It is time for something new. Will you join us?
I have goosebumps everywhere. I remember when we wrote that, I think it was for the cult proposal, wasn't it?
Yeah, before cult.
Yeah, wow. It's so huge. And it's realizing that the only thing that is really holding us back is when we resist life. I have to remind myself that life's happening for me, not to me. And then all of the beliefs that I have about myself, that's what happened over the last couple of days as I started believing my old thinking. And it's so easy to know that's not true anymore. The person that I thought I was is not me. Really, I had some terrible beliefs about myself, and that's why we came up with the name Unminding. Again, something that was in the movie last night is you have to lose your mind to find your senses sometimes. And that's really what we're telling everybody, because it works and it sounds so simple, but it is available to everybody. But we're told that it's not. We're told that we need things, whatever it may be. But the thing is, you're already innate wellness and love. And wow, when people realize that, there will be many, many less problems in the world. We're governed by fear. There's a reason that we are told to keep our vibration low, stay away from each other, not love each other. We are so powerful. Love is the answer. And love is the only thing that they're scared of. I say they get called conspiracy theorists, don't care at all. When you can see what's happening, read through the lines, see everything is pre-planned. Not everything's a scam, but a lot of the things that are fed to us is bullshit. And knowing who you are and knowing that you have everything inside, you don't worry about what goes on in the world anymore. Sometimes you can get tied up, and it's about empowering all of us. We're all a team, every single human. We're all brothers and sisters. That was so amazing. Just hearing that back again, Molls. Thank you for reading that out. That's really...
Okay. We're doing it. That's what I love. It's like, wow, that's what we're doing.
As you were speaking, the penny kept dropping, and we've created something fantastic. And I'm very careful with how I speak to myself now, because I know that I'm the creator of my experience. I can basically decide how I feel about things. This is so huge. And thank you to everyone for being here and sharing and joining. And we've had a few people recently that have found us through other people, and they've shared it with their friends. And when we look on the podcast stats, the countries that we're being listened to, and I'm looking up on Google Maps, oh, wow, someone's listening over there. And it's like, I'm stalking you all. But it's so brilliant. I don't like the word ripple effect because XRP, but it really is the ripple effect.
Now you've ruined it for me. Oh my God.
Well, every time you say it, I cringe. So we don't judge. You can love any coin that you like.
Yeah, we're humanity maxes. We always say that. Whatever you love, you love. That's fine by us.
Yeah, totally. The ripple effect. Oh, but it does seem to be that stress and pain and only happens when our mind resists what's going on. If the only problems in our life is resisting to life unfolding, that's what it seems to be. And that's really, really simple. And when I'm in that vibe, I've been vibing all day. I've been on a huge high, probably because I felt awful the last couple of days. But everything is so simple and so easy. And I know I won't stay here forever. I'll go in and out. I sometimes imagine grabbing this feeling and putting it in a bottle and putting it on an imaginary shelf so I can grab it whenever I want. I know I have access to this all the time, but sometimes life pisses me off and I get stuck and people annoy me. And you were right, Molls, I didn't want to speak to you because I knew you'd pull me out of it, and I was wallowing in my sadness. And it was the most stupidest thing.
Yeah.
But I had to do it.
It wasn't have to. It was just, that's what appeared. That was what was on the table. Now that's not on the table, great. There's no analysis of that happening to you, which is what I love. It's like we don't have to analyse that, well, I felt like that for 2 days, so now I really have to work out why I felt like that and fix it so I don't feel like that again. Because we always now know why we felt like that. Thought came in, looked real, caught us, we got lost, and then we find our way home again.
Yeah, totally. It's whatever. Doesn't matter. And what the old Gemma would do is I would link it and think, well, it's probably because you're a twat, or it's probably because this happened to you 15 years ago. And it's so unlogical for me to ever think like that now, whereas that's always how I used to think. And it's, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. And it doesn't exist. And it's so freeing.
Yeah.
Really, really is. I think we have a Holly as well.
We do have a Holly, one of my faves.
Hi, Holly.
Hello, ladies.
Hello,
How are
darling.
you?
Oh, great.
I'm working, but I just had to come in here and say how grateful I am for you and the work that you're doing. I love the fact that you are challenging the status quo and making a new path. I think so many people are afraid of change. And change is what makes us grow, and it changes our neural pathways. And when your mind expands, you do so many amazing things, and it affects other people around you, and it just spreads and spreads. So you are making those ripples that are becoming waves. And I just have to say how much I love you guys.
Oh, thank you, darling. And we're so happy that you kind of jumped on and you've been listening to us for a while now, and you're really part of the team. We really see you as part of the team of sharing this, and your feedback is always welcome. And yeah, we just love having you part of it. We think you're great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And keep doing what you're doing, no matter what challenges you are facing. Just keep doing the work. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you too, darling.
Thank you, Holly. And you're the second person, because Nathan said that as well. I don't want to speak for you, Molls, but I'm pretty sure there's not been a week that you've thought, oh, I don't want to do unminding. But there's been a couple of weeks in the past where I've thought I can't do it. Not that I didn't want to, but I was really anxious or really whatever. And I've definitely passed that. It's been a bloody year. That's all I keep hearing tonight is whatever happened, do not stop. And I won't ever, ever. And it's really nice. So thank you. Thanks, Holly. And you've been a real support as well privately to me. So thank you.
Yeah, and to me too. We love you, Holly. Thank you. And we're looking forward to this journey with you and seeing where we all end up. It's certainly a fun ride.
Absolutely.
Does anyone else want to come up? We'd love to hear from some others.
Don't be shy.
It can be a question. It can be how unminding maybe has changed things for you or has allowed things to look a little bit different. Whatever it is, or just to say hi. We really want to hear from as many people as possible today.
Yeah. And if you are shy, you can just DM me and I can read it out. I won't dox you. But I want to read another quote that I found, Molls, and I'm interested to see what you think about it. Again, from the movie. And it said, paradox, life is a mystery, so don't waste your time trying to figure it out. Humour, keep a sense of humour, especially about yourself. It is a strength beyond all measure. And change, know that nothing ever stays the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wisdom. It's just wisdom that change that we resist is just, it's the nature of form. It's the nature of the physical world. Everything is born, everything dies, everything falls away. It's creation and destruction. It's the nature of the duality of life. Who we really are is before that. We are one, which is the title of today, is really true in the sense of we are one. There is only one shared being that we all have. It's consciousness taking form in all these different ways as you and me and Holly and Lama and Artorius and Jake and Nathan. It's that when we come and we touch that space, we see that. And all of this illusion of separation falls away. And as that falls away, we see the truth of our nature. And again, to me, that's what's so lacking in the world, is everybody's looking at and pointing out the differences, and nobody's looking at where we're the same. And it's great we're all different. 7.5 billion separate realities on the planet. But those 7.5 billion have one source. And it's that source that we need to come back to really understand and love each other. And it can sound utopian, and I guess it is in a way, but it's true. There's one energy that has created all things. Go there. Look there. Because then I guarantee you would just fall in love with everything and everyone. You know, even the people that come at me, you know, if I have someone come at me on Twitter, or fine, you know, I may react momentarily, but after it's gone. It's done. I can't hold a grudge. You know, I may keep people out of my life because I'm like, yeah, I don't need that kind of thing in my life, but there's no grudge there. There's just a distance that I believe is healthy. So you can start to see that it's like having a grudge against myself. You just begin to see that we're all the same. And again, imagine if everybody could wake up tomorrow and see that, how much better the world would be. Diversity is a wonderful thing, but it's not truth. It's just experience. Truth is where well-being lies. Truth is where happiness lies. That's why everyone's so bloody miserable. They're all looking in the wrong direction. There's a home to come to. That home is you before you. You before who you think you are. All these quotes that you've said from The Peaceful Warrior, all of those things point to that. They point us home. They point us back to what's true. And in that truth we heal. In that truth we wake up. In that truth we begin to have a new life. Not because life necessarily changes, but our ability to see life changes. We go from the contrast of the darkness to the light, of a world that we're looking to create our feelings and make us feel okay and happy, to a world that's neutral, knowing all our feelings come from us. And if you're new to this, that may not sound like such a big deal, but it's huge when you see it. It's really life-changing when you see it. And the implications of that are everywhere. There's so many implications to begin to see that it's all coming from us. Like, I loved what you said. It's like life isn't coming at me, it's coming through me. It was something like that. And that's so true. We're really lucky, guys. I feel lucky to have found this. You know, we're all lucky to have found a new way of existing in the world, a new way of being. Because before we only had one way. And that one way was this person and this separation, this character and this world. And this world was producing our feelings. And we were trying to kind of manipulate the world for our security. To suddenly we found a different way of being, a new way of being. That we don't have to do that anymore. Most people are running around in the first state. They're unaware that there's a different way to live. Now, we bounce out of both once we understand it. We're not constantly going to live in awareness and oneness and peace. Well, I don't anyway. But at least I know there's an alternative there now.
And it's quite shocking, really, that it's not spoken about in schools. It should be spoken about everywhere. It's the basis of life. But it's, you know, that's why they don't teach you in school where money comes from. It's all these little tricks that you have to figure out yourself. I think, well, we found the answer. Now we just need to tell everyone. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Estival is here. Estival is a long-time friend of the show as well. Welcome, Estival. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary, your birthday party. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, good job. Great for you doing this. And, well, it's all wonderful. So I'll just keep it short. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you for coming up, Estival. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you've got the Gem phone disease. That's what Gem usually has.
Thank you, Estival. And I actually met Estival when I was in Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago, and being able to meet people that we've met through the Unminding Project is just absolutely brilliant. We're going to do a world tour, aren't we, Molls?
Yeah, we are. Someday.
I'll be there. We'll be on the yacht or wherever we take. I was going to mention real quick, ladies, there was a question I had, how people can handle, I'm paraphrasing, handle their mental health during the crypto crash and maybe uncertainty, maybe some tips on how to manage that. For me, I look at the macro sense of like, where was Bitcoin 2 years ago versus where it is now? And looking at the long game and also realizing that money isn't everything. It's bringing value, and not just through my company, but through my own action. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, great question. And what's interesting is what you've done there with trying to quantify it for yourself, which is what we all do, is that, well, okay, yeah, the market has gone down, but it could be worse. Or, 2 years ago it was that. That's still, to me, going outside in. That's still going to the world and then saying, well, it's okay because I can compare it to something else, and that comparison makes me feel better. What we're doing here is we're going before comparison. We're seeing, really truthfully, deeply seeing that actually that cannot create feeling. Now, it may create feeling because of our beliefs, because of how we see the world, but that's why it creates feeling. It doesn't fundamentally have the ability to create a feeling. Nothing in the world fundamentally has the ability to create our feelings. It's all what we've made up via our thought system that we react to. Okay, we've made it up, we've turned it into something to create our feelings, and then our feedback is that, oh, that happened, so then we have the feelings to match it. So it's almost like a looped system that then we're in, because we're always getting confirmation that that's what's creating our feelings. But what you'll notice is that those things don't actually always create your feelings. There can be things that in your world you think that makes me feel that way, but there'll be the odd time that it doesn't. And what that starts to show us is that the system is a lie, that actually there isn't feeling created outside of us. All feeling is created within us. So if I said to you that a cup of tea is going to create all your feelings, it make you really happy. Ultimately, the thing you need in life is a cup of tea. All your answers will be within that cup of tea. All your dreams will come true. You do anything to get that cup of tea. But it'll be one that I made, by the way. But ultimately, that cup of tea can't contain anything. It's made up. But you can see that if you really fell into the illusion of believing that, then that's how it would look. So we're literally undoing the illusions that we create around the world, making us feel a certain way. So when the market crashes, that doesn't intrinsically contain any feeling whatsoever. Nothing. So you can stay in a neutral state, and then you'll respond in the best way to the markets rather than being emotional. You also won't have to comparison thing, because the comparison thing is just really kind of appeasing the ego rather than seeing something more deeply.
I love that. Actually, I try to teach people this, and I tell them to friends who get upset. I said, well, first of all, don't focus it on it every single day. It's like you just get too excited, and you're wasting your time focusing on the price, because it's always going to be up, it's always going to be down, and vice versa. It's just always going to be volatile. And I always say, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Anytime this huge situation happens, like the Celsius network, for instance, bankruptcy and others that caused Bitcoin's crash, well, the next time it happens, it's not going to be as bad because Bitcoin's anti-fragile. Well, you become anti-fragile. I should become anti-fragile, that anytime these occurrences happen, you just become stronger. And yes, not being emotionally involved allows us to take a stoic approach, a rational approach. And, emotional investors tend to make many mistakes. So, yeah, I agree.
Definitely. And like, one Bitcoin's always one Bitcoin, but bear market Bitcoin's the best Bitcoin because it's cheap. I don't know what everyone complains about, but you can get very, very tied up to numbers and everything. But when we think about who am I without that? Who am I with nothing? Because ultimately you don't really need anything. I mean, I want loads of Bitcoin, but it's not going to ruin my life if I don't have it. But it did at one point. It's just depends on what mode you're in, I suppose. And one thing that I notice, especially about people in this space, is that they're very analytical. Most people that are trading, they're very intelligent, high IQs, and that can be a blessing and a curse because what we're sharing here, the mind will try and figure it out and you can't. So it's not using your intellect because it's deeper than that. It's much bigger. And the people that are in this space, they want to change their lives. So they generally different type of people. They're the doers, they're the campaigners, they're the protesters, in a sense. They want difference, and that can be challenging in itself. So overanalyzing is really a mind killer. And I do hear that. I hear it in people's voices when they're trying to work everything out. And it's like, stop trying to work it out. Life's a puzzle. Leave it that way. You can't figure it out. Just enjoy it. And it's the journey, definitely.
One thing before we go over to Artorius has requested is that we've got a great episode called Money, 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 which really deals with a lot of this. I think it's one of our best episodes on the podcast. So, guys, you can find that on Spotify or Apple or Fountain, wherever you listen. But actually, I heard a quote the other week and it kind of stopped me in my tracks. And it was, if your wealth goes away, the only thing that goes with it is your wealth. And I was like, wow, it really cuts through all the bullshit that we attach to money, and we put our feelings into it and our well-being and our security and all of those things. And it just was like, oh, it's so simple and so perfect. If our wealth goes away, the only thing it takes with it is our wealth. Beautiful. I love that.
It is. And it reminds me of, there's another quote. Some people are so poor, or some people are so poor that all they have is money, or some people are something like this. This goal and this place that you're trying to get to, you're never going to be happy when you get there. Well, you might be happy for a minute, but there's always going to be something else. You know, life is all about journeys rather than the actual gaining of whatever you think you might need. Money, Money, Money was brilliant. And that's episode 23.
Yeah.
We have an Artorius.
Oh,
we love you, Artorius. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey guys, I love you guys too. Thanks for letting me up. I don't really have anything intelligent to add. I just wanted to say congratulations on reaching 1 year anniversary. I think you guys do amazing work, and I'm really happy that you came into the cult community and that we were able to support you. So yeah, thanks for everything.
Oh, thank you so much. And like, cult have definitely been our biggest supporters, and we're so privileged to have found you all, and especially you and Mr. O. It's been a real blessing in our lives. You show up for the spaces, and I know you listen, and we chat sometimes in DMs, and yeah, we're just really, really, really thankful for you. I see that we're all creating something that is trying to create this new world that I spoke about, and it's wonderful that we've all come together to do that in our own way. So thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you. And it is the people that we've met on this journey. It's been so amazing. Like the conversations that me and Molls will have privately. It's just like, you're our people. We resonate with you guys so much. And it's like finding your tribe almost. We've all got the same vision. We're all working on separate things, but they're all heading in the same direction. And it's really, really exciting. I've got goosebumps again. The people that are involved, they're warriors. They're never going to give up. And it's that strength and that flows on to other people. And just being who you are, that's inspirational in itself. And you are inspirational, Artorius. And what you and Mr. O have created is incredible. Lots of incredibleness tonight and just wonderful, really. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have met all these friends on crypto Twitter and all the people that are doing great things. And you know, the ones that we've connected with are amazing. They are the protesters. They are the ones that are out there that really want to make a difference, really want to make this world a better place. And as you said, it's our tribe. And I think it's just going to grow and grow and grow because more and more people will wake up. More and more people will begin to see through the illusion and start to jump on board and be part of this creation, because I'm completely hopeful that there's the potential for something better in this world. I really am. I think we're probably going through the growing pains of that now, that the old falling away and the new coming in. I don't know how long that's going to take, but rather than looking at the bad things, it's looking at the potential that's there. What can we do to make a change? How can we show up differently? And for Gemini, this was this project. This is what we can do. We can free people's minds. And once their minds are free, they can free themselves in the world, and they can go out there and see that there's nothing to fear. Because scared people, as we've seen, don't create change. But the brave ones, the ones that see through their thinking, the ones that will face the world, They're the ones that are going to go out and create this new world that we all crave, that we all desire. The answer's always, it can sound woolly, but it's not. Love is powerful. The answer is love. The answer is understanding. It's not looking at the other because they're different and, fighting with them. It's if we can just sit down and understand, if we can see where we're the same, everything will begin to change. So it can't really stress how important for you guys to share this with other people is. This isn't just about you hearing it. It's a wonderful thing that you do, but share it, share the spaces, share the podcast, share whatever feels right for you to share, to begin to help people to have freedom of mind. Because for us, that's as upstream as you can get for change. Free your mind, free the world.
Yeah, and it all starts from inside, and you can feel that. You can feel that. So we have got a couple of written questions. One of them's from Aaron from BTC Essex. He's always boosting us on Fountain. If you are listening on the podcast, you may as well listen on Fountain because you earn Satoshis while you listen. So it's free money. He boosted us and said, big up the Essex Massive. He's a good friend of yours, Molls. And his question was, is faith the same as religion?
Interesting question. I think religion focuses more on rules. Religion tends to have a set dogma in place. It will be there's something to worship, there's rules to live by. It kind of gives you a guide to how to live your life. I think faith is something maybe a little bit deeper, which is you can have faith without being religious. You can have a faith in humanity. You can have faith that things will change. You can have faith in yourself. So how do I feel about faith? I think it can be a beautiful thing to have, but again, what we're teaching here isn't an attachment to anything in the world. It's for us to release ourselves from the attachments of the world. It's for us to see beyond concepts and ideas. So really, ultimately, faith, as wonderful it is still another concept. But is it wonderful to have as a human? Of course. But to me, religion and faith are two different things. Obviously, people have faith in their religion. Otherwise they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be practicing their religion. Whatever brings you home, whatever takes you to the space before who you think you are, keep doing that. If it's working for you to do something, to have faith in something that allows you to challenge your own thinking and drop out of your mind and see the world differently and have these insights and awakenings, then that's beautiful. That's the truth that we're seeking. That's who we really are. And to me, that's where all the answers lay. We get lost in the world, but it's always about coming home, coming within. It's so interesting. We spoke before about the separate realities. Every human has a separate reality. And it's that takes so many forms. But what do all humans know? We all know love. We all have loved something or someone. So where do we go? Come back to love. Explore what that is. Challenge your own thinking. I guarantee if you're not being loving, you're in your concepts, you're in your mind, you're in your judgment, you're in your ego. Because I know if when I'm doing that, that's where I am. And I know when I fall out of that and I fall into love, there's just love for all things. There's things I love, more, obviously my son and my mum. And, you have deep connections with people. But there's still this beautiful love for everything. And that's what we're talking about here. That's what we're pointing people to, is we're directing them back inside. That's the only way we're ever going to have an amazing, harmonious world. It's not going to come from going out and trying to control, trying to create it from the outside. It's an inside job. It's always within. Beautiful question, but there's something even deeper, in my opinion, than both of those things. It's that feeling of something more. It's that feeling of being, that feeling of knowing. It's that energy that makes the impossible possible. For me, at the core of every religion is actually what we're pointing to. This is why I can work with anyone from any religion. I work with Jewish people, Christian people, atheists, Muslims, whoever it is. It's who we are before that we're pointing to. The expression of that as a religious person, amazing. Great, but explore deeper. For me, it's like the religion is the doorway. Don't get stuck in the doorway. Go through the door. And that's within you. It's always bringing you home.
And I remember something that you say to me sometimes, and I say, well, what about the things that I don't love? And you say, well, love that you don't love them. And that is so true. It's such an easy sort of trick. It's okay not to like everything. And if you feel maybe negatively towards something, don't beat yourself up. You just don't like it. And with people as well, there's just some people that you don't gel with. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And when you realise that and know that everybody's kind of showing up the best that they know how to, everyone's trying their best, but everyone's on their own journey, that makes dealing with people a bit easier. And also to not be affected by other people is a peaceful place to be as well.
Yeah. There's a quote that I love, and it's like everybody's doing the best that they can with the level of thinking that they have. That's the truth. Our thought system is creating our experience. We're all doing the best that we can with the thoughts that we have in our head. You were doing the best that you could when you felt terrible this week. You were doing the absolute best that you could with that level of thinking. There wasn't an option at B. There was just that thinking. So we have to understand that with everybody else. And there's a lovely quote from Sid Banks, which is in the book Island of Knowledge. And it's, I've told you before many times, and once again I say, we are totally all the same. There is no difference between you and me or any other person on earth. We are all the same, and somewhere we know this to be fact. If ever you do find out this is so, you will be amazed at the simplicity of it all. You will start to love people for what they are, not for what they are not.
That's so beautiful, because our mind makes us want to have responsibility for lots of things and people and the way we feel, and it's not necessary at all. We've mentioned it before, but the Sid Banks videos, they are brilliant. They're about 20 minutes, half an hour, and you can listen to them many times, but I hear something different every time. I suppose it's like listening to Unminding. Listening to him is really, really powerful, but quite light. The words are taking you on a journey. Yeah.
And he's fun. He's a funny guy. But
He's a funny guy.
Thanks for those that have just jumped on the call. Was the founder of the What We Teach, which is the 3 principles. He had the insight and the enlightenment experience that's pointed to these principles of these energies behind life. And obviously we have the whole podcast series. We talk more about that. There's 33 or 34 episodes. So you can go back and pick any episode on Fountain, Spotify. Please also subscribe and follow us. And as we say every week, just explore. You've got nothing to lose. You've got nothing to lose by looking in this direction, and possibly everything to gain, because you could have an insight that could completely change your world for the better. So I think it's really beautiful that we don't know when that's going to happen. We can plant the seeds with the talks and with the podcasts and with pointing you in the direction of maybe listening to Sid Banks or exploring the 3 principles a little more. But actually those seeds that are planted can bloom anywhere at any moment. You can have a new experience of being alive. You can have an insight, and the world can look completely different. And that's what we're saying here. This isn't about being stuck in your world. This is about being stuck in your head. And this is where we want to free you. It's freedom from your own mind. And we probably sound a bit like a broken record saying that, but we know the impact and the power of being free from your illusions, of being free from your limiting beliefs, because it's beyond your beliefs where everything that you're looking for is. And if we close our minds to all these infinite possibilities, we're not truly living. We're kind of stuck. Whereas if we challenge that and we open up and we go beyond our beliefs, we're kind of seeing a new world. I guarantee you there's no answers outside. They're all within you right now. You have the wisdom of the ages within you. We get so lost in this material world that we forget it. But we remind you, we kind of go, hold on a minute. Have you thought that it might already be there? And then something's awakened within us. We start to see it. We start to come home. We start to touch that, oh, well, maybe I am this divine being. Maybe I am this light. Maybe I'm not this limited version of the self, of the character that I've believed myself to be. And what if I explore that? What lies on the other side of that? What happiness and tranquility and peace could be available to me if I challenged who I think I am? This is what we've been doing for a year. This is what we will continue to do. This is what we will point to. And keep listening, because you can listen for a year and think, well, I get it, but I've not had one of those insights. And boom, you get an insight and everything looks different. And you never, ever know when that will appear, because that's nothing to do with you. An insight will come through you when the insight is ready to come through you. You can't manipulate it. You can't control it. You can't do anything about it. It will come when it's ready. So all you can do is listen. And as you listen, you're planting those seeds. Unminding is the seed of insight. Just keep listening, please, and just share it. Let's create this beautiful thing for the world to enjoy that points them home to who they are.
And we will keep saying the same thing over and over again every week, because it's the truth. And I just had a funny memory about Jamie Smart. I remember when we first properly started working together, and I felt like, oh, I'm taking up all your time. I'm needy. I'm messaging you all the time. And I got in contact with Jamie and briefly spoken to you about it. It'd be so funny when we get him on the call as well. But I spoke to him and I said, I feel like I'm taking up Molls' time. Can it be this easy? And he pretty much said word for word exactly what you said. And I just couldn't stop laughing because it's so simple and so clear. I just couldn't believe it. And then he said, no, yep, she's definitely right. And I wasn't doubting you. I just couldn't believe it. So it is very mind-blowing, especially if you've had a busy brain and not really understood this before. For me, I'm a totally different person and I'm happy. So yeah, just stay in the conversation. And if there is anybody that wants to come up and ask us some final questions, I've got one here that was from the Secret Keeper. And he asked, when we are so deep in the inner turmoil, how do we bring ourselves back to presence? I would personally say you can't really. You just have to go through it. And any tips and tricks are, again, adding to the problem, like I was doing with trying to fix how I felt a couple of days ago. But that's my personal view. What do you say, Molls?
Same.
Okay. Yes. What do I win? Bingo.
She's got it at last. No.
I've got it today. I'll call you tomorrow though. But no, it's slowly, like I was up and down like a yo-yo a couple of days ago, and I used to be like that a lot. And life is so much easier, but it's becoming more and more and more easy. It's like there's no limit. There's no limit to how I can feel, and that's amazing. I put myself through so many rules, so many boxes. I created them all myself. Totally. I thought trapped myself, and it's just about undoing those bullshit beliefs that you've got. You know, if you really look at yourself in the mirror and look at who you are, some of these made up beliefs and stories from childhood and relationships, work, whatever it is, they don't serve you. And I deeply, innately believed them. And now I know that they couldn't be more untrue. But throughout most of my life, I really, really believed them. And to relieve yourself from that there's nothing better. It really isn't. So yeah, if you do hear anything, write it down, read it again, re-listen, because it is so important. It's life-changing, life-saving. And yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a phenomenal understanding. It is something that I think every human on earth should know. Hopefully they will. I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but there has to be a waking up at some point. You can see it more and more. And, you know, we get more and more listeners every month, and the message will get out there. You know, people will begin to realise who they are. There has to be a shift in consciousness of the planet, and the consciousness shift starts one person at a time. The world is always trying to convince you that you're the opposite of who you really are. So don't believe it. You're not limited. You're not insecure. You're not dependent on the world for your happiness. You're much more than that. And as we begin to see that, the mind does settle down. And the mind always settles on its own. It's when we leave it alone. Again, opposite of what we've been told. Now, the world is so full of lies. It's crazy. But, you know, it's when we wake up to that, at least we have a chance to have a different experience. realizing that you are the pure potential, that you are the infinite creative potential of the universe is you. It's not a separate thing. It's who you really are. There are no limits. It's a bit like the Wizard of Oz with this. It's like we're all out there looking at the shiny world, and you pulled back the curtain and it's just you, and you had the power all along. There's nothing out there other than you. And to just come home to that, know that everything that you're looking for is within you. Life will give you the experiences, like even for Jem this week where she had a tough time, it will give you those experiences that you need for whatever reason. That was the experience that she needed this week. We're always learning, we're always getting to see more deeply. And the liberation is to realize that the voice in your head isn't true. It says nothing about you. There's no truth to be found there. The truth is before that. The truth is not what your voice is saying, it's who you really are. You are the one that sees that voice. Go there. That's the depth of what we're pointing to here. It's wonderful to see through thought, but it's even more wonderful to realize the depth of your own being. That's where you'll find peace. Not in the rearrangement of the circumstances of your life. That might give you temporary satisfaction. It's not true. It's realizing who you are at the deepest level that will change everything. So, if anyone wants to come and talk before we finish, feel free. For those of you that have spoken, thank you so much. For those that have been with us for the whole year, amazing. Thank you. For those that are new, amazing. Thank you. Please stay around and please continue on this journey with us, and let's create a mentally healthy world.
I think it's happening.
Me
I know
too.
it's happening, yeah, 100%. I feel like I'd like to read Desiderata. I used to read that a lot in the beginning, didn't I?
Did.
So I think it's Desiderata time. It's my favourite poem in the whole wide world. Unless anyone's got any questions, I think that's been a lovely 90 minutes. It's gone like the wind. Thank you for all being here. So Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons, as they are vexatious to the spirit. And if you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans, and keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. So be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. So beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labours and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. So be cheerful and strive to be happy.
Ah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Jem. What a perfect way to end. So thank you, everybody, for being here on our birthday special. Please share. If you'd like to donate for our first birthday, that's on the link tree and it's on our website. Also, there's a support page. Just thank you for being part of the team. We love you all very much. We're going to keep going, going to be here every Thursday. We hope it's a wonderful hour for you every week where you get to drop out of your personal mind and see something a bit more deeply about the human experience and hopefully heal your mind, get you to see in a different way. So thank you again. We love you very much and have a wonderful weekend.